Welcome back. You're watching Brass Tacks. The National Investigation Agency has filed a charge sheet in the murder of Umesh Kohle, a pharmacist from Amravati who was stabbed to death by two assailants on the 21st of June 2022. He was killed because he supported former BJP leader Nupur Sharma after her controversial statement on Prophet Muhammad. The accused, booked by the NIA, have links to Tablighi Jamaat, a radical Islamist organization that has been infamously dominating headlines for various reasons. Now, the murder of Umesh Kohle or the beheading of Kanhaiya Kumar points to the increasing threat of radicalization in this country. In the case of Kohle, there are direct links of the accused to this organization called Tablighi Jamaat. The organization that started in India back in 1920s has been banned by various nations, including Saudi Arabia. The German and the French intelligence agencies have referred to this organization as an antechamber of fundamentalism. Despite increasing evidence of Tablighi's suspicious activities, the organization continues to be thriving in India. Is it time for a straight talk? Is it not time for countries like India to recognize the internal threat, cut the clutter, and address the issue head-on?
एनआईए ने जिस तरीके से इतना सीरियसली लेके इन सब चीज़ों को काम किया है तो हम काफ़ी सेटिस्फाइड है एनआईए से, क्योंकि 11 लोगों के ऑलरेडी चार्जशीट दाखिल हो चुके हैं और कई लोगों की जांच अभी भी चल रही है।
एनआईए ने अगर जांच की है तो उसके ऊपर कमेंट करना ठीक नहीं होगा। मुझे लगता है तो पुलिस की जांच है, हमारी सरकार ने जांच करने के लिए उनके पास दिया होगा, तो जो कुछ भी आएगा आखिर तो अब अपने लिए सबके लिए कोर्ट है, सही है गलत है कोर्ट बताएगी।
Well, let's tell you the details of that 3,000-page charge sheet that has been filed by the NIA and what are the details that have emerged. What is the basis on which the NIA calls it a conspiracy? Now, first of all, the accused were receiving propaganda videos. There are videos which have come to light before the agency that talks about radicalization, extremist religious ideology, which was behind the attack that happened on Kolhe. Now, video had image of gangster Dawood Ibrahim. All these, amateur videos or some of them very professional videos on social media have links to terror organization. But all the accused, interestingly, have linked to Tablighi Jamaat. Now, this video also had text giving ultimatum to Nupur Sharma. Sar Tan Se Juda, the chant that we had seen coming in from extremist organization, was also a part of this video. The NIA also claims that 3 more people were threatened by the accused. More importantly, one of them even made an apology video for supporting Nupur Sharma and sent it to the person who was actually threatening him. Let's now also talk about, is there a discrepancy between what the police said earlier and what the NIA has revealed so far? It does put the Amravati police in dock. There were 3 more people who were threatened by the accused. The NIA charge sheet very categorically records that. The police had said that 2 out of the 3 people didn't feel threatened at all, despite the fact that one of them actually made an apology video that I was just talking about. Second point, this was an act of terror. This was a conspiracy. This was not something that happened in a fit of rage. The local police had said that there is no finding of terror during investigation. There is a loophole in the investigation that was conducted by the local police. So that's one reason that it's good that the NIA really stepped into this matter. Let's move on and talk about what is it that the charge sheet says, and more importantly, when it comes to the issues of radicalization, what more can India do when it comes to an issue of this nature? Joining us on the broadcast is our panel of guests, Mr. Ratan Sharda, who's an RSS researcher and author, is joining us on the broadcast. Kishore Tiwari from Shiv Sena is also joining us. Mr. Atikur Rahman, who's an Islamic scholar, is with us on the show. Amana Begum Ansari, who's a political analyst, is also joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Sharda, countries like Saudi Arabia, various other Middle Eastern countries have banned Tablighi Jamaat. And if you read those reports, they point out to the fact that how this apolitical stand of Tablighi Jamaat, or claiming that they are merely a philosophical organization, is a mere camouflage to hide their terror activities. What has stopped the Indian government from taking action against Tablighi Jamaat? Why haven't we cracked the whip so far? Mr. Sharda, you'll have to unmute yourself, sir. All right, we'll just try and fix that issue with you, sir. I'll take that question to Mr. Atikur Rahman, who's also with us on the show. Mr. Rahman, when it comes to issues and matters of national security, when it comes to issues of internal security, that should be a concern tantamount for any country, there is increasing evidence, and the latest charge sheet by the NIA actually records how all these accused were linked to Tablighi Jamaat. Now, with this evidence on record, is there a case to be made for the organization to be banned? Mr. Rahman.
Well, am I wrong saying that these were the same words the media was using during COVID times when the Tablighi Jamaat was accused of all the terror funding, terror activities, nefarious activities, anti-India activities, and nothing got proved. And another important point is, if you are blaming the local police under the MVA, getting a wrong case filed, how can I believe that the present police and the NIA investigating agencies are correct? How can I believe that pre-1914 ATAs was not good, but the present NIA is very good? They can be even, relied upon.
Okay.
These are the charge sheets. Let them go to the court. Let the courts decide. In the meanwhile, the Tablighi Jamaat and thereby the Muslims of India will be maligned.
All right.
Will be
Mr.
having
Atikur Rahman.
all the,
Mr. Atikur Rahman. Mr. Rahman, please, no. I take strong objection to this conspiracy theory that you're raising here, as if this is some sort of a slander campaign without any evidence. Now, let me corroborate and substantiate the arguments I'm making. If you do not believe the NIA charge sheet, which should not be believed per se, because it's a matter still sub judice and the court is going to decide that, the Minister of Islamic Affairs in Saudi Arabia called Tablighi Jamaat the gates of terrorism when this organization was banned. I also have the research paper by SADF, which is a Brussels-based think tank, where the French and the German intelligence agencies are quoted and the kind of alarm that they have raised against the activities of Tablighi Jamaat. The French intelligence agency says that it's an antechamber of fundamentalism. You have the German intelligence agencies that hold that there are several factors that justify the monitoring of Tablighi Jamaat as a potential threat in the context of Islamist extremism or even terrorism. And I can quote you 10 other academic papers that have been written on this particular organization. So one second, I'll come to you. Let me finish my argument. My argument is that all the concerns which are being raised today on this broadcast is not merely on the NIA charge sheet. There is ample global academic and journalistic evidence to say that the activities of Tablighi Jamaat are questionable and suspicious to the very least. Mr. Rahman.
Thank you for questioning this. By that logic of yours, then various international agencies and the governments have doubted my Prime Minister, my Honorable Prime Minister's credentials when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, banning my Honorable Prime Minister not to enter that country. Should I go by their alibis? Should I go by their words? Not only the foreign,
you are a very learned man. Mr. Rahman, one second. You are a very learned man. I expect something better than you when it comes to whataboutery. I don't think the arguments. Sir. You can talk about Mr. Modi. It's a free country. You can criticize him and call him names. That is what has happened. There is nothing wrong about it. You have a right to do that. That's not what we are discussing here. What I'm asking you is a very different question. I cited you ample evidence when it comes to Tablighi Jamaat, and I expect a better response from you other than whataboutery when it comes to this organization, because at the beginning of the show, because at the beginning of the show, you said that this is some kind of conspiracy. And I'm now quoting you research papers, journalistic accounts to tell you there is something very suspicious about the activity of Tablighi Jamaat. So other than whataboutery, please give me some kind of response, sir. Yes, Mr. Shadda, I'll come to you.
Same were your words against Tablighi Jamaat in the COVID times. Have you substantiated that? No. Will you apologize for that? No. Because you are the mighty media, the Godi media, the lapdog media. That's why you won't apologize to Tablighi Jamaat.
Sir, one of the very good traits of debate is when you can't answer somebody on substance, Call them names. And I'm not going to fall for
I
that
have
trap.
answered,
So you
ma'am. I
have,
have
no, you have
answered.
not answered. You have not answered. I've asked you a substantial question. Instead, you first name called the Prime Minister
Have
and now
you
you're name calling
substantiated
the
your
media.
charges
I
against
did,
during
sir.
the COVID
I
time?
am talking to you about
None
internal
of the
national
courts
security.
held that
You have not answered
responsible.
my questions.
Your charges
I am talking
were
about national
framed.
security here, sir.
Your charges were a conspiracy. Your charges were anti-national. You maligned the Muslims and the Tablighi
Name
Jamaat
calling,
during the COVID
name
time.
calling, personal
No
attacks,
court
and what
upheld
about
them.
three things I'm not going to respond to. Mr. Ratan Sharda, I'm coming to you.
Logic
If
and
there is
logic.
ample evidence when it comes to Tablighi Jamaat, sir, and I was talking to Mr. Atikur Rahman as well, increasingly a country like Saudi Arabia has banned Tablighi Jamaat. Why has India shied away? Why haven't we taken any action so far?
You have rightly quoted Saudi Arabia apart from many other Muslim countries. Now, either they are not Muslim enough for Mr. Atikur Rahman or they are wild people. I do not know. Mr. Atikur Rahman, otherwise a very nice gentleman and very good scholar. I don't know why he's trying to malign the intelligence agencies who have produced evidence for this. Now, it is not just Saudi Arabia. There is a continuous investigation by the European countries. If you go to South Asian Democratic Forum, you'll find ample evidence of how France has been worried about Tablighi Jamaat, how Belgium and every other country is worried about Tablighi Jamaat, and they clearly say that this is only a mask for the breeding ground of terrorism, where they are handed over to mosque as religious people, and then in the network they are brought into the network of terror activities. This is their continuous stance. In fact, French said that 80% of terror attacks in France have their origin with the Tablighi Jamaat members. Was it said by NIA? No, sir. The DG ISI of Pakistan, Mr. Lieutenant General Javed Nasir, was a member of Tablighi Jamaat. 1993, they attempted to unseat Benazir Bhutto, and that was also under the influence of the Tablighi Jamaat. And Tablighi Jamaat based from Deoband school. Let us remember that during 1980s, Tablighi Jamaat was known as recruitment of Islamist radicals for Afghan war. So there continuous, unfortunately, there is no evidence.
Mr. Rahman,
Now
please,
there is
Mr.
an
Sharda,
evidence.
please
Why
let
you try
Mr.
to
Sharda
avoid it?
finish. Mr.
And
Rahman,
it is,
with due
it
respect,
is
I'll
written
come to
over
you.
Tariq
Mr. Sharda.
Parvez,
No, he has no
counter-terror
right to
specialist
lie.
of Pakistan.
Mr. Rahman,
says
Mr.
that
Rahman,
these
please
tracks of youth
let
are brought to
the other
mosque,
guest
and then they cannot control them. They are full of jihad and sectarian groups, and some cases the networks appropriate them for jihadi jobs. If that is so, should we deny this? Should we not try to stop it? Mr. Atikur, being a moderate and a scholar, should try ponder over it rather than trying to create various kind of narratives, try to blame media and everybody. What
Sir,
happened
there
in
is no
COVID
link
was
between the Pakistani
incorrect.
Tablighi
Everybody
Jamaat and
was
the Indian Tablighi
targeted.
Jamaat.
Whoever created a crowd. So what is wrong with that?
Both function
So
in a
that
very
is a
much
different issue.
tone
On
and tenor.
terror, are you saying that there is no terror activity where Tablighi Jamaat is involved? Tablighi Jamaat, as rightly noted by the Arabian countries, is gateway to terror.
Sir, you
And
said
what
the
was
same thing
the
during the
June,
COVID time.
January 2022 report says
You never
Pakistan
submitted
and
your
Taliban
charges.
are
Mr.
responsible
Rahman,
for radicals
Mr.
fueling the
Rahman,
Pakistan
Mr. Rahman,
riots.
there
So
are
they
few points that
creating
Ratan
riots
Sharda
not
has
just
made.
there, Nigeria,
Yes.
Europe, Kenya, Sudan, wherever you go, you find Tablighi Jamaat.
Yes,
It was a
yes.
small place once in here, but it is an opening the door for extremist thoughts because it teaches fundamentals of Islam,
Okay.
from where it is very easy for these network terrorists to drag them into terror. So either you stop their activity as as their teaching and go to better seminaries of Mr. Atikur Rahman, or don't say that we are being victimized.
Okay.
This creation of Islamophobia in the name of stopping any talk on terrorism is not acceptable at all. Because
I think
entire
Mr.
world is affected by this.
Absolutely. And
when
Mr.
people
Rahman,
talk
Mr.
about
Rahman,
those
you're a
terror
scholar,
really
you're a
supported,
scholar.
no,
And
they
I think
continue
you're
to get
more,
that excuse
Mr. Rahman,
and
that's,
let Islamist
Mr.
terrorists
Ratan
go off
Sharda,
the
let
hook.
me take those points to
They
Mr.
even
Atikur
allow
Rahman as
Pakistan to
well.
go off the hook.
Mr. Rahman, you're a scholar and you know it better than anyone else that theology can be used and misused for radicalization in any country, in any part. If there is a particular organization which is perpetuating a theological basis for radicalization activities, shouldn't scholars like you be calling them out instead of giving them some kind of intellectual justification? Mr. Rahman.
Ratan Sharda ji is witness to my calling all those organizations who radicalize the people's thought, and I demanded that Nupur Sharma, whatever she said, she should be pardoned. There was no other argument with the either clergy or the Muslim intelligentsia to hold her responsible for what she said. And he is witness. Point number one. Point number two, the Indian Tablighi Jamaat and the Pakistani Tablighi Jamaat or elsewhere in the world are very much different organizations. Point number three, the same charges with Dr. Mr. Ratan Sharda ji is levying for the Tablighi Jamaat right now. He leveled during the COVID time. Sir, your charges never got proved in the court of law. And that is why I say that you conspire against the Tablighi Jamaat. You conspire with the Muslims
Please
of
tell me
India.
simple question.
Please do not do this disservice.
Okay.
This
Okay,
is
Mr.
a
Ratan Sharda.
disservice done
Mr.
to
Ratan
the
Sharda,
Indian-
other than the point that you want to respond to Mr. Rahman, 30 seconds to you, and I want to bring in then Kishore Tiwari and Amana Begum Ansari as well. Sir, my question is, we also have an elected government of the day which has taken a very strong position when it comes to matters of internal and national security. If there is ample evidence, can we expect more action from the side of the government against this organization if there is evidence on record to prove the claims? Mr. Sharda.
See, what I was saying that I had simple question to Mr. Atikur Rahman. Is there one Amir of Tablighi Jamaat or multiple Amirs? There is just one Amir that handles, that controls entire Tablighi Jamaat across the world. So let us not try to say that two are different, that they are different Jamaats in different countries. No, sir.
Okay.
There is single ideology is propelled by the Deoband school. And there is single ideology
And artificial distinctions are not going to serve.
Pure Islam.
Yeah, artificial distinctions are not going to serve the purpose of internal security. Mr. Kishore Tiwari, I'm coming to you. There are serious questions that have been raised about the kind of investigation that the local police did. In fact, the local police denied any kind of threat perception to the other two people who were getting those kind of threats. The NIA records in its charge sheet that there was instead an apology message, an apology video that was recorded and sent to the people who were threatening the other two people. How do you understand the laxity that has been shown by the local police and which has been revealed by the NIA charge sheet? Mr. Tiwari.
No. I have seen NIA charge sheet also, and charges placed by NIA are very serious, and we have been demanding the justice for Umesh Kohle's innocent victimization and killing. Now, I have seen the charges made by NIA in their charge sheet that local police has failed to register the cases against the culprit and all these things, and they were a matter of cover-up. Now there is a government of BJP, and the truth should prevail. If the officers are guilty, they should be punished. But we want to see that why these two events of the Udaipur and Amravati, which has got interlinkages, happened in a non-BJP rule state. So, Anusha, there is a serious thing. We want now the whatever may be the charges NIA leveled, it should be proved in the court of law. Let us wait for a judgment. And I think Atikur Rahman was right. As a corona time, you made a lot of allegations. Later on, the Tablighi
Sir, no, a lot of things have been said about what happened during the COVID times. I do want to make the statement that certain sections of media and the way they report a certain story cannot be the responsibility of every news channel that you talk about. A lot of political leaders make a lot of irresponsible statements. I don't hold you all individually responsible for it. By the same logic, sir, if a certain section of media talks about something, I or this channel cannot be held individually responsible for it. That's it. I want to go to Amana Begum Ansari as well, who's joining us on the broadcast. Amana ji, when it comes to issues of radicalization and organizations like Tablighi Jamaat, what kind of internal churning can happen from within the community? And I would also take that question to Mr. Rahman, that any kind of intellectual justification for radicalization, perhaps that's not the need of now hour when it comes to internal security.
Right. But for that, first of all, I would start from the condemning this gruesome killing over the religious hurt sentiment, and my sympathies goes to the family of Umesh Kohle. As a citizen of peaceful nation, I would like to say that killing or lynching anything on the basis of hurt sentiment is a very lethal for the society, and it only adds into the already existed fault lines. I think Tablighi Jamaat, we also have to understand that Tablighi Jamaat have never been accused of being in a political Islamist movement. So it cannot be called an Islamist movement, but they have a Puritanian thought process. So yes, they create a kind of conservative society there. But more than Tablighi Jamaat, we have to acknowledge the mindset behind such a killing. The idea of Sartan se juda, which is totally against our constitution. Also, the people who believe that it is their religious duty to follow such a violence must know that there is no physical punishment written in the Quran over the blasphemy. And as a community, we have to bring this idea to table and discuss among us. One more point I would like to add here, that I know that Indian state is going to take strict action, but I want to add a very important point, that we have to tackle these issues very carefully, understanding realities around it. The aim of terror organization is not only to instill fear among the masses, but also create a perception of victimization among a section of community, so they can use those gullible minds. I would like to quote counter-extremist academic Vasik here, that the punishment should be very proportional, so that it doesn't feed into the grievance narrative that Tablighi Jamaat can use to recruit more impressionable Muslim to their jihadist cause. So state has a double responsibility here. This I would like to mention.
Amanaji, I think those are wonderful points that you're making, and I want to take those points to both Mr. Atikur Rahman and Mr. Ratan Sharda as well. And now I'm not just talking about Tablighi Jamaat, but I want to talk about the broader issue of radicalization. Mr. Sharda, it is true that any organization, whether Tablighi Jamaat or anybody else, which the state fears is working for the purpose of radicalization, just doesn't want to instill fear. They also want to create a certain degree of victimization within the community. Mr. Atikur Rahman, how is it that we can travel, we can deal with this entire issue of radicalization as a nation, as a policy, without creating this victim complex that is only a breeding ground for further terror? Mr. Rahman.
I seriously believe that radicalization is such a serious, issue, wherein I do not have a right to speak on it. We have the agencies, we have the government, we have our legislatures. If they are really true to their, words, they should have de-radicalization centers. And I believe that the first person to go in a de-radicalization center will be Pragya Singh Thakur, and the last person will be Tablighi Jamaat. Both should enter the de-radicalization centers. De-radicalize it. Of course it is very heinous. It is serious. I do not have a right to speak on it. For what reason we have elected our legislatures? They are fully in their right to de-radicalize our nation. Why else Nupur Sharma episode was dragged in such an ugly fashion? The BJP and the RSS is responsible for these landmines.
Amazing.
The government should take strict action.
We always find
Otherwise,
somebody
we will
else
be losing the
responsible
game.
for terror activities.
Atikur
Mr. Ratan
Rahman,
Sharda.
this is not going to-
Amanaji, respond, then I'll go to
Atikur
Mr. Ratan Sharda. Go ahead, Amanaji.
This is not going to help our society as a Muslim community, neither our nation. We have to accept the problem which comes from our community. We cannot do the water bottle all the time and push the blame on other side. There are something wrong going on around the world. We have to talk about those issues without bringing any water bottle, because this is about our children who will get radicalized. Our children will get radicalized. They will go into the wrong path, and we have to care about them more than any political agenda or anything, because we are talking about the society, ordinary people here.
Absolutely. And Mr. Rahman, a quick response from you, and then I have to close the
can
debate.
be used for water bottle.
All right. Mr. Atikur Rahman, Mr. Ratan Sharda, Kishore Tiwari, Amana Begum Ansari. I'm sorry I'm short of time. I have to wrap up the debate here. But when it comes to internal security, when it comes to a check on certain organization, I believe that any kind of political interest or any kind of fears of appearing of being politically correct or balanced should be kept aside. Internal security, national security should be of utmost importance. And radicalization is a very real threat that the country faces right now. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Ridhima joins you with the News Epicenter. Thank you for watching.